You wake up to the sound of an alarm, you rush out the door. You spend 8 hours staring at a screen, you come home tired, you collapse into bed. But the real story of human history is far stranger. For 95% of the time our species has walked the earth, your ancestors did almost nothing. At least nothing that looked like your workday. What did they actually do? The answer changes everything about how you see your own life. In the 1960s, anthropologist Richard Lee traveled to the Kalahari Desert. He studied the Kung San people, one of the last groups living as hunter-gatherers. He wanted to know how hard they worked. He counted every minute of every day. The results shocked him. The average Kung adult spent about 2 to 3 hours a day hunting and gathering, that's it. The rest of the day was spent resting, socializing, playing games, and telling stories. Lee called them the original affluent society. Not affluent in stuff, affluent in time. James Sussman spent years living with the Jews/Honsi, a related group. He wrote a book called Work, A History of How We Spend Our Time. He found the same pattern. They worked hard when they needed to, but they never worked more than they had to. They didn't know what a weekend was because every day was a weekend. Or rather, every day had large stretches of free time built right in. Think about that. You have weekends, you have vacations, you have retirement. And yet you still feel busy, you still feel rushed, you still feel like there's never enough time. Your ancestors had none of those things. No weekends, no vacations, no retirement. And they had more free time than you. How is that possible? Here is the counterintuitive truth. Work as you understand it is a recent invention. For most of human history, survival did not require constant effort. It required bursts of energy followed by long periods of rest. Hunting a large animal might take a few hours of intense focus. Gathering nuts and berries took a few hours of walking. After that, the day was over. There was no boss. There was no shift. There was no clock. The modern workday is an aberration. The 9 to 5 is not natural. The 8-hour workday was invented by factory owners in the Industrial Revolution. They needed people to sit at machines for as long as possible. That model was copied across the world. Your brain and body were never designed for that. They were designed for short sprints and long recovery. Let's look at the evidence. Archaeologists have studied the remains of ancient campsites. They find tools, they find food scraps, but they also find evidence of play. Bones carved into whistles, stones shaped into game pieces, cave paintings that serve no purpose other than joy. These people weren't just surviving, they were thriving in their leisure time. When you imagine a prehistoric human, you might picture someone constantly fighting for survival, always hungry, always scared, always working. That image is wrong. That image is a projection of modern anxiety onto the past. The truth is far more boring and far more wonderful. They sat around, they talked, they laughed, they played with their children, they told stories, they rested. You don't do that, do you? You wake up and you're already behind. You eat breakfast while checking emails. You commute in a metal tube. You sit under fluorescent lights. You scroll through social media on your break. You come home and you're too tired to think. You watch a show and then you sleep. And you do it again tomorrow. Why? The answer is in your psychology. Your brain evolved to conserve energy. Energy was precious on the savannah. Every calorie burned had to be replaced. So your brain learned to avoid unnecessary effort. That's not laziness, that's efficiency. When you procrastinate, when you daydream, when you stare out the window, your brain is doing exactly what it evolved to do. It is conserving energy for when it truly matters. But modern society labels that as a character flaw. You are told to be productive. You are told to grind. You are told that rest is weakness. That is a lie. That is a cultural invention designed to keep the factory running. Consider the Hadza people of Tanzania. They are one of the last hunter-gatherer tribes. Researchers have tracked their activity with fitness devices. The Hadza walk about 5 to 6 miles a day. That's it. That's their work. The rest is leisure. They have no heart disease, no diabetes, no depression at the rates you see in the West. They are not working themselves to death. They are living. You might say, but we have modern comforts, we have medicine, we have technology. You're right, you do, and yet your stress levels are through the roof, your sleep is terrible, your sense of purpose is confused. You are richer than any king of the past and you are more anxious than ever. Why? Because you have traded time for stuff, you have traded leisure for productivity, you have traded social connection for digital interaction. The ancient human didn't work to buy things, they worked to live, they worked to eat. Once they ate, they stopped. They didn't produce surplus to trade for status symbols. They didn't build monuments to their own ego. They sat down and looked at the stars. Now let's bring in another researcher. Anthropologist Marshall Solins wrote a famous essay called The Original Affluent Society. He argued that hunter-gatherers were affluent because they had all the material goods they wanted with very little effort. They didn't want much. Food, shelter, community, that's it. They satisfied those needs in a few hours a day. The rest of the time was their own. Your modern life is the opposite. You want everything. A bigger house, a faster car, a better phone, a promotion. You work more to get more, but you never get enough, because the wanting never stops. Your ancestors wanted food, they got it, they stopped. You want status, you get it, you want more status, you never stop. That is the tragedy of the modern condition. You are running on a treadmill that was built by industrialists, not by evolution. Your body says rest, your culture says work, and you are caught in the middle. But here is the hope: you are not broken, you are not lazy, you are not deficient. You are a modern human with an ancient brain, and that brain is screaming for a break. You feel exhausted because you are exhausted, not because you are weak, because you are doing something unnatural. What can you do about it? First, stop apologizing for resting. Rest is productive. Rest is when your brain consolidates memories, solves problems, and generates creativity. If you don't rest, you don't think clearly. That's not opinion, that's neuroscience. The default mode network in your brain only activates when you are doing nothing. That's the network responsible for insight and self-reflection. Second, rethink your relationship with time. You don't have to be busy every minute. You can stop, you can sit, you can do nothing. And that will not make you a failure, it will make you more human. Third, look at your work. Is it truly necessary, or is it what David Graeber called bullshit jobs? Jobs that have no meaning and provide no value. Your ancestors' work had direct value. They hunted, they gathered, they built shelters, they cooked. Every action had a purpose. If your job doesn't feel purposeful, that is not your fault, but you can change it. The ancient human didn't check the clock. They had no concept of minutes or hours. They lived by the sun and the seasons. You can't live that way today, but you can stop living by the second. You can stop checking your phone every 3 minutes. You can stop filling every gap in your day with notifications. You have more power than you think. You can say no. You can leave work at work. You can take a real lunch break. You can go for a walk without a podcast. You can sit in silence. Your ancestors did that every day, and they were fine, better than fine, they were happy. Now think about this. The average American works more than 2,000 hours a year. The average hunter-gatherer works less than half that, and they don't have mortgages, they don't have student loans, they don't have car payments, they don't have to save for retirement. Their social network is a band of family and friends. Their safety net is the tribe. You have a 401k, you have insurance, you have a smartphone, and you are terrified. You are terrified of losing it all. Your ancestors had nothing, and they were not terrified, not in the same way. They lived in the present. They didn't worry about next year, they worried about today, and today was usually fine. So why do you work so hard? Why do you run so fast? Why do you stay in jobs you hate, in cities you can't afford, with people you don't like? The answer is culture. The answer is habit. The answer is fear. But the answer is not evolution. Evolution prepared you for a life of moderate effort and abundant rest. Evolution prepared you for community and connection. Evolution prepared you for meaning and play. The modern world delivers the opposite, and you feel it every day. That is why you are tired, that is why you are anxious, that is why you feel like something is missing. Tomorrow, when your alarm goes off, remember this: your ancestors never heard one. They woke with the sun, they stretched, they talked, they ate, they worked a little, they rested a lot, they lived in a state of relative ease, and they were probably happier than you. Not because they were simple, because they were free, free from the clock, free from the boss, free from the constant pressure to produce, free to just be. You can't go back, you wouldn't want to, but you can learn. You can learn to work less, to rest more, to stop filling every empty moment with more tasks, to value your time as much as you value your money, to remember that you are not a machine, you are an animal who deserves to lie in the sun. So go ahead, take a break, stare at the wall, watch the clouds, do nothing. You earned it. Actually, you didn't earn it, you don't need to earn it, you were born deserving it, just like your ancestors, just like every human who ever lived. That is the real story, not of toil, but of ease, not of struggle, but of survival made simple, not of work, but of life. And that is the truth that changes everything. When you understand that you were never meant to work this much, you can finally stop and start living.